off with the really offensive stuff since I know you guys can take it. This is from the new book. It's not done yet, that I'm not selling today, and it's called Pull the Other One. It's about the Mayan Apocalypse that didn't happen. According to a crackpot radio televangelist in Oakland, the rapture is going to occur in 2 days. This is unfortunate, as I was planning on having an ice cream social the day after. I did a little research about this particular prognosticator, and he was already wrong once in 1994. Why any subsection of the populace would believe a guy after he flubbed the first time around is beyond me. But then again, religion is a crutch for stupid people. So by extension, they could be fooled twice. Shame on them. I have a book promotion scheduled this Saturday on the reshuffled date for the rapture, so I wouldn't rule it out. In the past, I've had hailstorms in June, snow squalls in early December, and a localized bout of raining frogs during a particularly unusual and overcast library event in March. It's pretty clear that God is not a big fan of mine, so I retaliated by unfollowing his flippant non sequiturs on Twitter. Every cloud of raining frogs has a silver lining, though, so I've come up with a few upsides to this potential global calamity. Number one, more alcohol, tobacco, and firearms for the rest of us. With all of this saved floating up into the sky like promotional balloons for a car dealership, there will be more contraband to go around for our diminished population. The law of diminishing returns will be in full effect as we can holster 2 guns, strap one under the sleeve taxi driver style, and brandish a Derringer in our boots just in case. I'll double my cigarette intake because I can. None of us will have a problem finding an open seat at the bar because the Jesus freak should free up a few slots at whatever watering hole you happen to frequent. Number 2, less traffic on Sundays. Instead of being stuck behind a 4-foot couple with white cotton candy hair going 20 and a 45 on a side road, we can all drive recklessly and carelessly at speeds exceeding 125 miles an hour. Road stops for maximum capacity masses dancing forward in their finely pressed suits and flowery dresses will no longer be a problem when rushing to the bar for a noon eye-opener. Can I get an amen on the eye-opener?
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. In addition, I won't feel guilty about running people over as the remaining inhabitants of the planet will be morally reprehensible sinners anyway. Number 3, vacant churches can be converted into strip clubs with stadium seating. This is a no-brainer. With so much tax-free real estate, our nation can capitalize on the religious nonprofit angle, and we can all put our previously allocated tithing money to good use by funneling sweaty singles towards Crystal's cosmetology certificate from the nearest 2-year beauty school or Desiree's illegitimate bastard child. Newly converted clubs could even utilize cash baskets by filling them with tequila shooters to carry up and down the aisle. Noelle, are you familiar with tequila?
I have no idea what tequila.
I've heard that people of Hispanic origin move. Number 4, no more cop-outs during the Grammys or any other awards ceremony. Thug rappers, actors bouncing back from defamatory slurs and or rehab stints, and directors found with 8-year-olds will no longer be able to wipe the slate clean during their acknowledgement speech by saying, "I'd like to thank my prosecution attorney, my family, my mistress, my bookie, and most of all, God, for making this happen."
Why do they always blame God?
I don't know. I don't know why they always think it.
They always blame God.
I know. If God wanted you to write a 5-minute radio edit about bitches and fags, he would have whisked you away in the potpourri shock fact that was the rapture. That catch-all blanket thank you will forever be extinct. Number 5, I'll pray for you could be replaced with what it really means. Once Armageddon comes and goes, we can simply tell people, your life is fucked, instead of feigning concern and pretending that we'll worry about how things will turn out. If a dear friend is whacked out on drugs, drop-kicking family pets, or beating up school children for scratch-off tickets, you ever do that, Jeff?
A couple times.
You can throw your fake sympathy out the window and retort with a simple, succinct, your life is fucked. Fairly self-explanatory. Number 6, paid religious programming can be replaced with something that people will actually watch. Mud wrestling stands to make a massive comeback. Instead of watching an oily snake charmer wave his hands around and refer to a contribution hotline for God's vision of an indoor water park and rotisserie chicken emporium, stoners can stumble onto public access snuff film programming, or finally, amputee hermaphrodite fisting porn. We can finally catch up to the Europeans in terms of softcore programming and entertain people with basic cable who have nothing better to do at 9 in the morning on a Sunday. Golf and NASCAR ratings might suffer slightly, but hell, amputee hermaphrodites with the talent for fisting need to make money too. 7, pedophiles will have to get real jobs. Instead of strapping on a robe and strapping one on for the altar boys, yikes. Child molesters will have to seek gainful employment with yearly reviews instead of a lifetime tenure and an endless supply of supple children. They'll no longer be relocated to another satellite branch every time there's an incident and may even have to face the consequences of their actions. That would be nice. 8, warmongers will have to come up with a better excuse. If God was on your side, he would have Swiffer swept you away along with the other goody two-shoes. So pull the other one. Leading a nation into battle will no longer have the supposed backing of a random deity by way of justification. Morally confused generals scraping for motivation and crackpot Arabs may have to scrape up a new bullshit logic for their actions. We know our war is just because we have the full support of Tickle Me Elmo. I wouldn't put it past them. Number 9, inspirational music landfill. Decades of soft jazz, light contemporary pop, and the most neutered guitar solos in the history of mankind will be extinct. The sordid practice of rearranging popular lyrics into eye-gougingly, excruciatingly awful tributes to a magical higher power for the sake of personal gain, i.e., God's milkshake brings all the sinners to the Lord, will no longer pollute our eardrums, not even by accident. Cassettes that were traditionally sold out of the back of a metal fish embossed hatchback can be buried in a remote landfill next to Atari's ET cartridge.
Wow.
I was reaching there. You got it though.
Oh, Atari, oh yeah.
Coated in lead and forgotten forever. Amy Grant will end up converting to thrash metal and biting the heads off of aborted fetuses during concerts as a result. 10, guilt will be optional and we'll all be responsible for our own actions. Instead of relying on someone else to tell us what to do or how to feel bad about ourselves, people will end up having to figure out by themselves what's right and wrong and what they should feel bad about. I realize that it's a tough concept to grasp, but most of us have been doing it for the majority of our lives. Oh, and if you're reading this, then the rapture didn't take place at its regularly scheduled date and time. For those of you who were fooled twice, shame on you. Drop and give me 20 push-ups and ask Tickle Me Elmo for forgiveness. Feet on the ground, Tom saved by the Bell Waters. Thank you. This is another newer one that was on BuffaloComedy.com about a month ago. I'll do this for Noel, since you like my son too. And it's called It's All About the Benjamin. It's a title I was sitting on for a while. Taking care of my 21-month-old son Benjamin is a lot like having someone wake me up and tell me they signed me up for a 5-mile marathon that starts in 5 minutes. It's exhausting, there's a great deal of endurance involved, and there is some serious nipple chafing at the end of the day. Just kidding about the last part. There is no such thing as perfect parenting, and unfortunately my son did not come with an operating manual. Truth be told, I screw up at least a half a dozen times a day. Most of it is trial by error. So in an effort to save you some time and aggravation, what follows is a categorical list of single daddy tips I picked up along the way. Don't bother picking up. My son is the living embodiment of entropy. Immediately after opening his toy box, the entire living room is littered with toys that he never uses, rarely touches, and doesn't pay any attention to. Options are important to him though, and trying to tidy the house when he's conscious is an exercise in futility. On multiple occasions, I put 4 toys away only to find him yanking 40 out once he notices that I'm trying to clean up. This is pointless. I either employ some sleight of hand, tossing cars and balls into the box like a ninja when his back is turned, or wait until he's down for his nap to even attempt some semblance of order. This segues quite nicely into our next addendum. Get caught up on everything when they're unconscious. If you're one of those people with a dog who insists that you know what it's like to have a kid, try this. Pick a household chore that takes approximately 10 minutes. Now set up an elaborate and nonsensical obstacle course in your home that turns the same chore into a 12-hour ordeal. That's parenting. The best time to get anything done is going to be when your child is conked out for the night, so save it all for then. Take things one step further, figure out how to get an entire weekend worth of work done 20 minutes after lights out. Wash and put away dishes, hang up the laundry, shovel the walk, run out the garbage, feed your pets, and prep the coffee. Set a timer and try to improve on your personal best. Still think you can empathize with single parents because you feed a parrot once a day? You can't, and you're wrong. Make sure you're unconscious an hour after they are. Nap when they nap, and at the end of the day, after putting everything in order, don't stay up later than an hour after they go down. If it seems like I'm spending an inordinate amount of time on sleep, trust me, I'm not. 70% of parenting is making sure that you're rested, because the alternative is having a rugrat hanging off of you when you've only had 5 hours the night before, waiting on the coffee to percolate while your patience is shot, and there are a baker's dozen of toys melodically chiming the same tunes you've heard 1,400 times a day for the last 2 years. You don't want that, so it's best to lay down no later than an hour after they lay down. This is a life-changing technique that will save your ass. Say goodbye to private time in the bathroom. My time freshening up in the water closet used to be a segment of the day set aside for quiet reflection, relaxed reading, and the playing of silly apps. Do you play the apps, Brian?
No.
He's a cool happener.
No more! Now I might as well set up a turnstile next to the toilet and sell tickets with a 2-foot height requirement. I have to keep an eye on my kid, so he hangs out in there with me, breaking toilet handles directly behind my back, fiddling with designer soaps and dropping them out of the tub, and knocking old copies of National Geographic on the floor. Not only that, but my cat joins the party. Why not? The door's open a crack, so why wouldn't I want every life form in the house to have a front row seat to my bowel movements? If you think that makes it weird, you're right, it does. More than a handful is a waste. I know what you're thinking, but I'm talking about food here. Don't put more than a few mouthfuls of snacks into your designated bowl, Tupperware container, or hermetically sealed cube, because it's going to end up on the floor at some point anyway. Save yourself some time and unneeded rage by limiting the amount of whole grain Crunchables, pretzels, or Teddy Grahams that you'll invariably be picking up later at least 2 dozen times. I could seal my boys' snacks into a time capsule, or heat fuse them along with Han Solo and Carbonite, and they'd be... Han Solo and Carbonite... Work that second time. And they'd be fanned out on the kitchen floor within seconds. Also, avoid Cheerios at all costs. They gravitate towards the nooks and crannies and couch cushions or into corners immediately. Use Cheerios only under direct and constant supervision. Turning the page. Prepare food that you personally enjoy and enjoy cleaning. If your child is a finicky eater, i.e. 100% of all offspring with a 1% margin of error, they're not going to eat all their meals, so you're either going to end up throwing out a lot of dishes or eating the remainder. That's right, you are now a garbage disposal for the fruit of your loins. Learn to love the last 6 tepid bites of macaroni and cheese, half a cup of room temperature applesauce, and again, 3,000 Cheerios that have been carefully placed back into a Tupperware bowl 5 times. This essay has been brought to you by the good people at Tupperware. In addition, 1/3 of everything you prepare winds up on the tray, the table, the booster seat, the dining chair, under the booster seat, and ultimately on the floor. So make food that's easy to clean off of any surface. Don't do as I have done and set the kitchen table for pulled pork and cheese fondue. Spoiler alert, it ended poorly. Learn how to take a beating. Pretty self-explanatory. Expect to get kicked in the nuts at least 2 or 3 times a day. And I'm not talking about a light grazing. I'm talking about full-on Jean-Claude Van Damme style ultimate fighting kicks. Sometimes they're unintentional and other times not so much. I've succumbed to open-handed pimp slaps, headbutts, pile drivers while laying on the floor and meeting my son at his own level. And I've stepped on more Lego-shaped landmines than I care to mention. You've got 2 choices, either strap on a cup and a bicycle helmet when you start your day, or get used to it. If things are unnaturally quiet, assume the worst. I don't take my eyes off my son, but if I have my back turned for 10 seconds and I don't hear anything, you can guarantee that half of the house is on fire, an animatronic dinosaur is being thrown at my cat's head, and a sippy cup of pure cranberry concentrate is being upended on the rug simultaneously. My mother was a preschool teacher for 20 years and had eyes in the back of her head. Unfortunately, I don't share that skill set. Beware the eerie silence, for foul, unspeakable things are afoot. In the split second that you're opening a refrigerator or setting the microwave, doors are coming off of their hinges, family heirlooms are being irreparably decimated, and chocolate chip muffins are being force-fed into the DVD player. You're going to get the bubonic plague every other week. Children are human petri dishes.
How true is that?
They are the blank canvases upon which every other kid at daycare will use to paint their infectious and contagious masterpiece. You are going to catch every bird flu and super virus that they bring home by association. They are patient 0 and you're the next guy in line. So know that and embrace it, because there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it anyway. I don't believe in being sick. In the past, when I marinated my entire body in Kentucky bourbon and chain-smoked Camel Whites, I would only come down with something once or twice a year. Now that I'm taking better care of myself, I get blindsided with the chills, the vapors, and whooping cough. Whooping cough.
Ugh.
No? Second
got
time?
it.
Okay. Think of it as a virulent Book of the Month club. Depending on what's going wrong, you'll either be coughing up blood or screaming obscenities